Sarah Nisbet. I'm an author, illustrator, and the founder of Drawn on the Way. My artistic mission is to use my observational drawing to help people find the extraordinary in the everyday and see themselves and others as a work of art. And today I'm going to tell you the 5 things that I wish somebody had told me when I became an artist. Number 1, you do you, because you might actually be the next Picasso. So when I first started drawing on the train, I loved it. But as soon as I would stop drawing, I would look at what I'd made and I would feel really disappointed because I had this idea that the only way to make good art was to recreate the world with perfect fidelity. And I just couldn't get that idea out of my head. So every time I looked at what I was making, I couldn't appreciate it. And I was having such a good time drawing though that I didn't want to stop. And so I had this moment where I had an epiphany where I thought, hey, you are an art history major, so you learned about how, Da Vinci and Picasso and Renoir all painted and created their world the way they saw it. And we celebrate all of them. So if you do that, aren't you kind of following in the footsteps of some of the greatest artists of all time? And from that moment on, I decided maybe I was the next Picasso, maybe I wasn't. But what was the worst thing that was going to happen if I treated myself like I was? And so the point is, you might be the next Picasso, you might not. You might be the next you. But if you don't tap into your creative instincts and let them guide you and lead you, you'll never know where you can go. Number 2, evaluate everything you do by joy, not excellence. So when I was a professional singer, which was my first career, anytime I would introduce myself to somebody, almost the first thing they would say back to me is, oh my God, I'm so bad at singing, I can't sing at all. And I would always say, if you can physically make sound, then you can sing. It doesn't actually matter how good you are at it, as long as you're enjoying yourself. And it always made me so sad to think of this whole world of artists who had been silenced by somebody else's judgment, or worse, their own. And I think that silencing starts really early when we're told, often by very well-meaning people, that if we're not immediately excellent at something, that we're not allowed to do it. And so when I say evaluate your work by joy, what I'm really saying is see if you can uncouple the end result from the process, because I think there's so much power in doing that. And you will create much better, more meaningful art that is ultimately likely to be more successful out in the world. And so the better question I think you can ask yourself is, does this make me happy? Because joy is a metric that only you can qualify. So if you ask yourself, does this make me happy? Then you are uniquely qualified to assess the success of your work. 3, your mistakes are your best teachers. So I learned to draw on the New York City subway, and I drew always in pen. I still draw in pen. And those 2 things, the bumpy subway ride and drawing in pen where you don't have an eraser, mean you're absolutely gonna make mistakes and you're gonna have to learn how to live with them. And the best thing that did for me is it showed me that my mistakes are actually a great way to learn. They're a great way to learn what you don't want to do and what you were trying to do. And actually that if you make a mistake, you can work with it, or you can pick up and start over and turn the page and make a better drawing than you thought you were about to make before you ruined it. So this is the point, is that mistakes can be an excellent teacher. And if we are always obsessed with using our eraser, then we might actually preclude ourselves from finding and discovering something really interesting or important for us. So whatever your eraser is, whether it's your self-doubt or your fear or your judgment, see if you can imagine that you have chosen a pen and live your life and your career as if your mistakes truly, truly are your best teachers, which they are. Number 4, this is going to be really hard. So again, my first career was as an opera singer, and I remember all the time people would say, if you don't love this more than anything else, find something else to do. And I always thought when they said that what they were saying is that that's how you get really good, is you have to love this thing more than anything else to be the best at it. And I'm sure there's an element of truth to that, but I think what I discovered for myself is that what I think they were saying is that being an artist is really hard. And if there is anything else that you would rather be doing, everything you are doing to be an artist will feel like a sacrifice and will feel like a struggle. So it is really, really important that you know that this is hard and that you know the reasons why you are doing it and why it's worth the struggle. And I say that not to scare you away from being an artist, but to just say that that's the truth of it. And I also think that you don't have to be a professional artist to call yourself an artist. So I came up with my own saying, which is that if you can do the verb, you can claim the noun. So if you can make art, you're an artist. You don't have to be a professional to call yourself an artist. But if you do become a professional artist, buckle up, because there is no roadmap and it's a sometimes confusing and tough path, but you've got it. 5, don't try to be anyone other than yourself. So one of my favorite quotes is from Theodore Roosevelt, who says, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And I really love that quote because it is so true. And I would add to that that comparison is also really confusing, because when you compare yourself to others, you kind of lose that internal compass and you really can't fully create what you are meant to do. And also, in terms of it stealing your joy, it's really easy to feel disappointed in your own efforts if you are constantly looking at what everyone else is doing. And of course, social media has made that easier than ever. So this is when I would like to also quote my mom, who always told me to keep my eyes on my own plate when I was busy looking at what everybody else has. So this is a reminder that you've got to look to yourself to know where you're going and what you are here to be doing. And if you look at what other people are doing, you will find yourself confused and frustrated, and you will miss out on your reason for being an artist. So whether it's finding your own style, or, your reason for creating, or even just kind of keeping your chin up after that last post didn't get a million likes or go viral, don't look to others for reasons to judge yourself or for inspiration for how to be you. Only you can be you. Thanks for listening. I can't wait to see what you create.